Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sherisse Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hi everyone. So welcome back. I have another fabulous guest for you today. And this guest is also a confidence queen. And we first connected because we were introduced via a group chat, and then it was like, you guys need to all connect because you're all related to the performance background. And then literally that week we met in person, and then I was on Savannah's podcast, which I'll link below as well. So we've just been in and out of each other's worlds for the last few weeks. It's been really lovely. And I was like, right, I need you on my show because I want to know all about you. So I am really excited to introduce the amazing Savannah Madden.
Thank you, Sherisse. Thank you so much. Oh, what a lovely little journey we've been on in the last couple of weeks. It's been great, hasn't it? It's been really lovely. But thank you so much for having me.
No, of course. And I feel like I feel like you know probably a lot about me now. So I was like, I want to know everything about you and how you got here and all of the stuffs. So first of all, for people that don't know who you are, please can you say who you are and what you do?
I can. So I am a confidence coach. I mainly work with women in business, but that's not exclusive. And I support people to safely step out of their comfort zone into their stretchy bit so that they can grow with more confidence, particularly in their business, but also in life as well. And I'm very much all about using the voice, using your voice for good, being confident in using it in all of the good ways. And also my view on confidence is that you already have something inside you that you can reconnect with and then grow so that you can grow and blossom even more into like this absolutely incredible queen version of yourself, because it's all about evolving as you go through different seasons in business. And I'm definitely of the opinion that you're not born confident, so I don't want that to be confused with the moment where I just said, about having something inside of you. That's the nugget that we tap into, and then we evolve from there. And I come from a performing arts background like yourself. I started my performing arts journey as a dancer, evolved more into musical theatre, then I was a straight actor. And then I decided to open my own theatre school where I support young people to enter for Lambda speech and drama exams and support them with drama school auditions. And we'll talk more about, I'm sure, what the catalyst was for starting that business. But what's amazing is that business has now grown and scaled over the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and I've got a great team there, operations team and coaching team. And whilst I'm still involved with all the student progress, directing the show, conducting mock exams, overlooking all the exam entries and everybody's progress, I'm not really there on the ground in the studio teaching as much because I'm doing more speaking engagements, more podcasts and coaching adults with their confidence rather than children now.
Yeah, love it. It's all of the things. And what's wonderful is I feel like it's almost there's so much synergy in what we do, why we do it, which is lovely, isn't it? And I feel like
I didn't realize there were so many transferable skills from being a performer into doing a business. Like I just didn't know. And obviously you've had a better hand at that because obviously you built the school and then you've built like the coaches and then how you do your curriculum, for example, in some sort of a way, like the syllabus that you follow and all of that. And so that's probably given you a really clear pathway into business. And so your coaching business, I bet, makes so much sense because of that. Whereas I haven't had that little gap. So for me, I'm thinking, you've had this beautiful pathway of just like one step at a time. Whereas I just kind of went, oh, okay, I went from being a dancer, had this traumatic experience in the pandemic where all of my childhood trauma come up, and I was like, cool, I'm going to make a business out of this.
I
So
mean, there is so much value to that as well,
yeah, of
Sherisse.
course there is. I'm just
Uh,
thinking about like how your transition makes logical sense as well. I'm like, that actually is beautiful. And also I had a very intrusive thought when you were well, a very intrusive song came forward when you were talking about you said something about for good, and then obviously it just started playing in my head, you know, like from Wicked, and I was like, this is how we know that we are performers at heart because yeah, just for singing it. And I was like, we could be Elphaba and Glinda, and I was like, right, stop what you're doing.
we could. Oh my
Could
God,
be.
that's a really good casting right there.
Well,
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah. Hey,
that
love
is
it.
brilliant.
But obviously, it's really beautiful that you have merged everything and you've gone on that journey from being the dancer, musical theatre into the acting. And I feel like it's that process for me feels like so much of everything in life as well. You know, like the evolution, like you were talking about, and how even confidence itself is like a seed within us that we need to nurture, you know. And for me, that yeah, I feel like you're a very, I don't know if you notice that, but you're methodical in what you do. Like for me, it feels really clear that you see the pathway and yeah, you evolve in a really chronological way, which is really wonderful. So I don't know if you've seen that for yourself, you might do. But yeah, anyway, my head's already going, oh, I wonder what a star sign is. Definitely Virgo placements here and maybe Capricorn and
I'm very close to Capricorn, but I'm an Aquarian.
oh well there you go. That's the business brain. That is the business brain. You've got it. But I do know there's a key part of your story there that we haven't mentioned, and obviously the reason why you started doing the coaching, which was losing your voice. So I'd love for you to kind of tell us about, yeah, why the well, why the drama school, the performing arts school, and then why teaching confidence. Tell me all.
I shall tell you all, Sherisse. I do think as well that I am quite a typical Aquarian, but you are much more in tune with astrology than I am, so we may have to have this conversation another day. However, I love that you have highlighted that you think that I'm methodical because there are definitely two sides to me. There is the methodical, organised, reliable. I think that's quite a bit of a boring one personally, but there we go. And you know, I'm really dependable. You can always count on me. I'll always be there for you. I'll always show up. I know that lots of people count on me. Then there's the other slightly chaotic side of me, but I think that's where the creativity comes. I'm a very creative person. I'm a very ambitious, very passionate person. But I can also be very unorganised, and you know, things can just be going blah, 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 and I do a lot of things by flying by the seat of my pants, but it always works out. And that's exactly what happened when I first started my theatre school business. I had no plan, I had no idea what I was doing. But as you so beautifully pointed out, that being a performer enables you to have so many transferable skills, and so many performers are not aware of this. They get a little bit closed-minded, tunnel vision of like, I've got this identity that I am a performer and there is nothing else that's going to stop me, because you know, we dedicate our entire childhood and early adulthood to being a performer, and it can be, obviously, as we both know, a really hard place to be. So I want to just take a step back 10 years, and I was living in a beautiful farmhouse in the central belt of Scotland with my husband, and we, on the outside, looked like we were really happy. We'd only been married for a couple of years, and various events kept on piling on top of us that were mostly out of our control. And we were just going along beautifully together, and then all of a sudden he was going left and I was going right, and we just were not in alignment anymore. And I won't go into all of the details because no one cares, but essentially we made the decision, and mostly from me, but it was mutual in the end, that our relationship was going to come to an end, and I left him. And so I found myself in the beautiful Scottish countryside going, oh my goodness, what the hell am I going to do with myself? And I moved back to England a couple of months later. I started applying for work with every single performing arts organisation I could find, and reconnecting with people. But the good thing is that I hadn't lost complete connection with people. I'm quite good at keeping in touch with people, so I didn't feel like completely alienated. But what happened there was that I had completely lost who I was. I'd lost all my confidence, and in that relationship, because of such a sequence of so many events, I was made to feel like my voice didn't matter, and that I was silenced, squashed. I felt really suffocated, that there was no way out, and I had to dig really blooming deep to find the courage and the bravery and the confidence and everything to leave. And I think I basically scraped myself up off the floor, pushed myself through that, and then just kept on that treadmill for about a year and a half. So I was working pretty much 7 days a week for all sorts of different organisations. You've got different rules and regs and different things going on. So you've got to be really on the ball, that you're making sure you're adhering to everything that everybody is asking of you, because I was broke. I not only didn't have any money, but I was also in nearly 10K's worth of debt as well. I was really fortunate to have very supportive parents, really supportive, incredible friends, who were my support system, who I was able to lean on. And over that sort of 18 months, worked my socks off to make money. So then I was able to move out of a shared house into my own flat that I rented. But as soon as I kind of got into that rented flat and things started to feel a little bit better, I was diagnosed with vocal nodules, and I basically lost my voice completely. And for the listeners that maybe aren't aware of what vocal nodules are, they're like small little growths that appear on your vocal folds from overuse, and it doesn't enable the folds to vibrate properly together. So you kind of either end up with a voice like this right down here, and it's just like there's nothing going on, and it's a little bit quieter than that as well. Which is also referred to these days as vocal fry, which kind of stems from America, where they're all just kind of like talking down here, and then we all kind of like emulate it and stuff. But, you know, for me, being a performer, teaching in the performing arts, it was absolutely catastrophic. And I was like, what on earth am I going to do? I need my voice to teach. I need my voice to communicate, to express myself. And I was so fortunate that on the NHS I was entitled to speech therapy. So I began my journey to rebuild my voice, and as a result I rebuilt my confidence as well. And then I looked into additional holistic healing as well. So I was having Reiki once a fortnight, and I just cannot even speak highly enough of having that. The conventional ways of doing all the voice exercises were fantastic, but the therapeutic side of like tapping into like other things that were going on was invaluable. And what was so interesting was it was the speech therapist who I was referred to through the NHS who was the one that said to me that this was also a trauma response. And then when I told my Reiki lady that same thing, she was like, yes, indeed. I've just been trying to find the right moment for us to kind of like come to that, because, you know, there'd been a lot of tears and a lot of stuff going on in the Reiki sessions, a lot of realizations and all that sort of thing. So I felt really, I would have felt really validated if the Reiki woman had said the same thing to me. But the fact that I had a medical professional who had actually asked the questions. I didn't volunteer any information about what was going on in my private life. She asked really good questions. She was really supportive. I'm just thinking about that and thinking, what a fabulous woman. She just asked all the right questions. She was really careful with me. She made me feel really safe, and I did feel able to tell her about things that had been going on, and she was able to, you say this a lot, Sherisse, join the dots. She was able to put a little picture together of what had been happening, and then was able to dig a little bit deeper and work out what else might have been happening. And there is no two ways about it. My nodules came from overuse. I was overdoing it, people pleasing, leaning into workaholic behaviour, thinking it was impressive and exciting. And I was going against everything that I have learned about using my voice and being an actor, and doing completely the opposite, and just shouting over music. And I was doing a lot of dance teaching at the time, giving it the 5, 6, 7, 8 over the music. Oh my goodness, as a cover up to be like, God, look how happy I am. Look how full of beans I am all the time.
In there too, girl. And I'm
really glad, aren't you?
I'm glad that you said about the trauma response thing, because in my head, since I've met you and I've heard this story, I thought, I wonder if she knows that it's that. So I'm glad that you do, because I was like, it's not really my place to tell you that. But I feel like for me, everything that manifests physically has a energetic connection to it. So 100%. I love that you had a beautiful woman that you trusted open that door for you. And I think that this is the beauty of this work, doing that really deep inner healing work, because that is what's enabled you, obviously, as one of the steps forward to be able to support you in moving forward. But anyway, carry on. I've just wanted to add that in.
Yeah, no, definitely. So part of my story is that I always say I physically lost my voice, but I metaphorically lost it as well. And I'm not going to sit here and throw loads of shade at my ex-husband and all of this, because he is a really good person, but we were just on really, really different pathways. And I know that we were supposed to meet. This experience was supposed to happen in some form, because it has led me to a really, really wonderful life now. I am now with somebody else. I have a little boy who is just the best thing in the entire world. And my partner is just the most amazing dad, and it makes me love him even more and more and more every day. And I started my theatre school because I lost my voice. I was like, I am so fed up of working myself into the ground, people pleasing all these other people. And quite frankly, I've said this quite a few times in different forums, Sherisse, is that these people did not know how to run performing arts organisations. And I was just sitting there going, gosh, I could do it so much better than you. Some of them were good, and there are people that I'm still closely involved with and I've done collabs with and whatever. But the majority, I was just like, what on earth are you up to? So I thought, I could do this. And I have got this funny thing inside me that I do think has a bit of something to do with being a performer, where I didn't get ground down so far that I lost who I was. And I've almost got this deluded, I can't even explain it. What is it? I just feel like sometimes I'm so deluded, because I'm the yes person. I'm like, yeah, that can happen. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can put on a show with X amount of kids. Yes, we can put on another workshop with only 2 weeks notice. Yes, I can support 5 people a month doing one-to-one confidence coaching. Yes, I can launch a podcast. Yes, I can speak on stages. Yes, I can make this much money, whatever it is. And I just have this ability to make it happen some way or another. And it might be this way, that way, turn around, bang, sort of vibes to get there, where the methodical system does not play a part. But I had a wobble, of course, when I thought about it. And I thought, God, who the hell am I to do this? The imposter syndrome and all that comes in, and your negative Nancy's chatting away to you and whatever. And I just thought, I've got nothing to lose. I've got everything to gain. And that was the way I looked at it. And I needed a way to carry on teaching where I wasn't using my voice so much, and that was where my sort of pivot kind of came from, doing more dance teaching and avoiding shouting over the music. I then went into one-to-one work, doing more acting and public speaking. I was actually still teaching singing. I was just winging my way through things, just demonstrating the bare minimum, and leaning into being able to explain things a little bit more for people. And so, yeah, I was given a chance to have a porter cabin in a car park, and managed to get 12 students together that I had on a little conveyor belt, if you will, every Saturday, one after the other. And the more people knew about it, the more people referred. And my first sort of 20 or 25 students came just from referrals. I didn't have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a website, please. This is like 2018. I didn't have a name for my business. It was just called Lambda with Savannah, and not even everybody followed the Lambda syllabus. It was just, let's do some performing arts, something or other. And yeah, it just kept on growing and growing and growing. And I am one of those people that fall into the statistic of my business grew so quickly I couldn't keep up with it, and that I didn't know how to grow it properly. I didn't know. I just didn't know anything. I was voicing people using a Word document. This was before GDPR, though. I'd just like to put that out there. And then obviously pandemic hit, like everybody. I was really lucky. I pivoted everything online. Loads of my coaching's one-to-one, so it wasn't like migrating lots of group classes. And that's when I built my website, my first ever website. I taught myself how to do it, using a good old Wix template and YouTube and Google, whatever. And then it was 2021 that I brought on my first coach, my first VA, and then I started looking at who I could bring in to help me, but I didn't actually get a coach until 2023, 2024. I did loads of it on my own and just kept figuring it out, and I was in it. I was doing loads of the coaching, whereas now I'm on the other side where I don't do any coaching really. I pop in. I've had someone on work experience this week. I pop in, I mentor, I support, and I position myself now more as like a leader of a team and a mentor to my coaching team, who are all fabulous and are all really successful in their own rights. And I've brought in more operational help as well to push that and support that. But yeah, lots of people have only recently heard about my story. I kept it to myself for nearly 10 years. And even parents of some children who started with me from the very beginning were like, oh, I didn't know that. Because I was doing so much work to recover my voice that I kind of was able to cover it up. Again, another superpower that I really pushed a lot in those days, was covering it up, putting a mask on, doing the whole fake it till you make it, which is now my complete opposite philosophy, because I really encourage people not to put on a mask or to be, I don't want to say performing, because I feel like some things it does need to be a bit of an enhanced version of yourself, depending on what you're doing. But I feel like that's more of like how your identity evolves rather than putting on a show, putting on a performance. But yeah, I was excellent at masking things and making out that everything was absolutely fine when it really wasn't.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you've said there in terms of like that performer-esque-ness that we have, right? Like we have this theory, like my dance friends, that any performer could go into any job and be amazing at it. Like you could literally do any job because you're just, like you said, one, delusional, two, you have this undeniable work ethic that you will just get it done. You just do it, hell or holy fire, you will get that done. And even down to like when you said masking that everything was okay, like I went through multiple like dark nights of the soul holding myself together, and then I'm on stage in a bikini like just wafting myself around, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, eating fire, all the stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I
even just,
think with working with children as well, I felt like I had this enormous responsibility. I still feel it all the time. Even the work I'm doing now, like, I try not to swear anywhere that I am, because, I just think, oh, a child I've taught might see that, listen to it, or whatever. Like, I'm still very, very aware that I am involved in a child's world in so many ways. But I feel like I felt like I had so much responsibility to not let anybody know that anything bad was happening. Um,
but I
and
think that's part of that culture, though.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
we were taught that being booked and busy was the epitome of success, and people didn't care about your life. Was you told as well? Because I was told that the minute you hit the
Thank you for
studio,
listening to
you
this
leave
week's
everything else
episode.
behind.
Please
So
do
you
like,
block out your whole
follow
life
and
and
share
you
with
just
a
get it
woman
done.
that
And I
you know
remember
needs to
being
hear these words
really,
today.
like, I've always been
The
a
more
strong
women that
dancer.
get
So
to
even
listen,
when I was
the
like
more
training,
impact
I
and
was
change
one of
and
the best dancers
transformation
in
I
the
get to
room
make into
always
this
because I was
world,
so
and
passionate about it, and
the
I'm
light
strong
in you
physically. So I
shines
feel
on
like that always
others.
comes
So
through my
sharing that
hip
forward is
hop commercial
absolutely the
stuff.
mission of
But
this.
I just
This is how
lacked
we
that
all
inner
give
belief in
and get
myself. So
and
I would
receive
be at
the
war with
permission to
myself in
fully
this room
shine.
where people
I
are like
also have some
showing
really incredible
and
things
like
happening
really
this
shining in
year.
confidence,
I'm
but yet my
hosting the
movement
second
would be
She
better than
Rises
everyone else in the
event
room.
in
But yet I was
April.
so in
So
my
if you
head.
want
But
to find out
people
more
weren't going
about
to
that,
ask me
click
like,
the link
why
in
are
the
you blocking
description.
yourself? Because it was
I'm
trauma,
now
right? It's like
relaunching
that was
my
a pure
first
reason for it.
ever
It's funny
group
now because
program that is called
if I have
Unforgettable,
like a little
and
something
it's
come up, like
taking you
I'm
from
obviously retired, but
performing
if something like little and
visibility
fun
to
comes up, I'm
embodied
like, sure, I'll give it a
authority.
little go.
So
A
whether
little one,
that's
two. I did a
posting on
choreography job actually the
podcast
other day, which
or
was lovely.
being on
And
stage or
it's funny because I
being
don't
the
have
leader
that
of
same
your
like
field,
confidence block that
when
I
you're
used to
ready
have.
to
So it's really
fully
funny watching back.
embody
But the years
this
that you were talking
version
about,
of
that
you that
2018
has this
time,
dream and
that was
ambition that
really
you
when
know
it was like go
the
for me. I was
limiting
pushing
beliefs,
like
the
100 million
childhood
percent.
experiences,
And
the
that
generational trauma that
2019
stopped you
year,
and
I
prevented
remember
you from
crashing my
fully
car
stepping
because
into
I was
who you
doing
came
like
here to be.
4 jobs a day.
This is the
My body
space
was
where we get to
exhausted and I
write
was ignoring
a
it.
new
And it was like the universe was
story,
saying,
a new
wake the F
chapter
up,
in your
girl,
life.
you know, like, and I
I'm
just,
so excited to
so
hold that
everything.
when
space.
we had a pandemic
And as
and you think,
always,
God, I
if you're
think
looking
they're
for
trying to
one-to-one
tell us
guidance,
something,
my message, this is
Like
always
literally, my
spaces
whole life plan
available.
changed in the pandemic,
So
and that
use
was when
that
I
with
had to
love.
look inwards. But similar to you, I think that speaking and speaking on stage, I thought was normal for dancers, but it's not. Like I know obviously for you being an actor, it's probably a bit more natural, but I was just thinking, oh well, we've delivered workshops to thousands of people and all of the things. They were like, oh no, it's not a normal thing. But I feel like for me, the connection was um going from having taught and teaching and then speaking to deliver to parents all the time or to like um professionals for like a big workshop and or doing a corporate workshop that's dance related. That so there was all these little transferable skills, and in the pandemic I just began talking about my healing journey, and that was my segue. So I love that you are now embracing your story and telling people why, because I think that that makes people feel closer to you, because I bet you've always been an inspiring person to your students, but actually them knowing why, I think builds that trust just even deeper, which is so beautiful.
It really does, because I feel like I've actually attracted more people to my theatre school without even knowing it, just because I've been sharing more. And I think that a lot of my clients have always thought, oh, she's such an open book, like she's really approachable, really friendly. And then they find out all this other stuff about me and they're just like, I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it, And I've also been talking more, so I do like my, weekly email to my theatre school, which is more just about this and that and things that have been going on and various bits and pieces that I'm doing and stuff. But I always share, things that are coming up for me and whatever. And I talk more about like my origins of where I started dancing as a child and stuff, and how things evolved there. And people were like, yeah, I just always thought you were an actor. And then on Saturday it was my theatre school show, and I was up there on stage on the mic at the beginning, welcoming all the parents, doing the boring housekeeping lingo and whatever. And then when I came on at the end, I was even more relaxed. And what was really funny is that the sound guy had just played the bow music, and I'd given him a Spotify playlist, but he obviously didn't have a Spotify account. So we had Just Come On for Sheila's Wheels and another awful advert. And honestly, I was just stood in the wing with the mic looking at one of my coaches, just like, oh no, are you joking? thinking, oh, this is the end of the world. You know, they're all going to think, what a useless, you know, production. They can't even get a playlist together. So then obviously I walked on and I acknowledged it and made a joke out of it, and everyone laughed. And I was like, oh, this must be what it's like to be a stand-up comedian, you know, and I am not one of those. But just that little bit of acknowledging that and laughing about it, then I felt even more relaxed. And I know, again, I'm another real exception to the rule where I find speaking on stage to be like a real natural habitat. I feel really comfortable there. And that was just another, I've had loads of speaking engagements this month, which has been absolutely incredible. And this was sort of, I wouldn't class this as a speaking engagement, but this is the last time I been on stage this month, sort of thing. And it was just really great to just go home that night and be like, yes, having a whole theatre school, inspiring and encouraging young people to use their voices and to boost their confidence, whether they want to go into a performing arts career or not. I honestly, in the most loving way, I couldn't care less what they do in the future, as long as they're having a positive experience at my theatre school, Madden Theatre Arts, and, you know, building all of these skills, you know, that means the world is their oyster when they're older, because they'll have all these amazing things to take them forwards in good stead. And yeah, I just thought that's my first calling, and my second one is supporting other people and sharing my message on stage. And it was just so lovely just to be able to thank all the people and say all the things. And I had a really amazing full circle moment where one of my students who performed in the show, who's got the most exquisite voice, I was talking about her being in one of those 12 students in that porter cabin in the car park, and now she's 19 and she's going off to drama school in September. And then she came on stage and thanked me, and I was like, oh my goodness, because I didn't know that was going to happen, obviously. And I hadn't told the team that I was going to say a few words about her. I'd said, oh, I'm going to say thank you to this, that and the other, and then I'm going to promote the workshop, and then I'm going to talk about the social media competition and whatever. And then I added that on at the end, and then she came on and they took the mic from me and stuff. And it was just, yeah, it's those moments where you just know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, doing the exact thing that you were sort of put on this planet to do. And I now feel that even though I'm not there on the ground actually doing the coaching with the young people, I feel like I've got such an incredible team who are, as I said earlier, successful in their own right. But I also have put so much effort into supporting them and mentoring them. So they have their own sprinkle of incredibleness that they give to the students, but it's sort of like through my like sort of system, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. That's so beautiful. And I love that your showcase was almost like where all of your worlds met, you know, like your everything you do met in that one moment, which is so wonderful. And I agree with you. I feel like whenever I've taught, even before I'd done the deep healing work for myself, I was always told that I was giving the students more than just dance. Like, even to this day, the girls message me now, and they're women, and they're like, oh, I remember you told me this back then and it stayed with me, and like these little things. So I think that there's a saying, isn't there, that anyone can be a teacher, but someone actually making real impact, that is something really invaluable. And I feel like that's like a life purpose and a gift. And I feel like in my human design as well, I'm a 5-1, so I'm supposed to teach things. And I feel like probably similar to you, is that like us using our life experience, our wisdom, our performance background, but also, you know, our human background as well, like all of these things, they meet and they connect. And I actually had a similar moment to you where um they knocked down my old school, my old secondary school, and they've rebuilt it. And I had a talk for International Women's Day for my local councils. They invited me in to talk about, you know, my work and how I support people. And I just remember being in that hall, and I was like, this is the very grounds that I, you know, used to go to school in, being like one of like 5 people of color in my whole year, and wanting to be a dancer. And here I am sharing my story of like how I've, you know, moved from dance, how I grew up in this area that is still deprived in lots of areas, but now the work that I'm doing with my local council is going to support women and girls from minority backgrounds, and that's all from me going on this long journey has come all the way back round. So like you said, that full circle, and it's just how our worlds collide, right? And we can use our magic in every capacity. I just think is the most beautiful thing that we get to have. And on that as well, I'm going to ask you, I don't feel like you might have said it already, but I feel like when was the moment for you that you feel like you really gave yourself permission to shine? And there might be a few of them, but
I'm going to talk about one really recently. So I was selected to be a speaker at the Women Thrive Summit late last year. So I've been in the process for about 6 months, and my keynote was last week. So I did my keynote, which is my biggest audience I've ever spoken to date, and it was a global audience, and I put on my theatre school show in the same week. That is a very, very classic move from myself. Obviously, I couldn't control the day that my talk was on because it was across a 5-day summit, but I did have control of when I booked the theatre for my theatre school show, and I knew it was all in the same week, but I was like, I just know I can do it. I know I can do these things. But that also coincided with the same week that 10 years ago I left my husband. And it all just was, and so you saying about that full circle moment of being on stage on Saturday, it was actually the day after. So it was like 10 years and one day to the day that I left the situation that I didn't want to be in anymore. But my time to shine was on Tuesday. I delivered that keynote with so much passion and gusto and fire, and I haven't watched it back because right now I'm really happy with how it went and what my memory is of it and what the real-time feedback was at the time, and then the feedback that I have received from my mentor and from participants and from other women who were also speaking at that summit. So I know what I'll do if I go back and watch it. I will find something, and at some stage I will go back and look at it, because we always need to grow and we always need to improve. But right now, my entrance song was Freedom by Beyonce, which I used to listen to all the time in 2016, 2017, 2018. I don't actually know if it was released in 2016, maybe it was 2017, but I used it a lot. I was teaching movement at an acting school in Glasgow at that time, and I used it a lot there, so I've got really good memories of that too. But that moment really told me that I was exactly where I was supposed to be, doing exactly the thing that lights me up and that gives, I hope, value, inspiration and just that kind of mentality of you are in control of your destiny. You know, I came out of that situation, and you think to yourself, gosh, how do you even function if you're in 10k's worth of debt? You just do find a way. I just got work and I worked, and obviously it didn't all work out because of the voice loss and things, but there were so many reasons that did work for me in that moment. And I just enjoyed the fact that I didn't come away from that talk and try and find anything that maybe didn't work or didn't land or could be improved, because that's a job for a later date, or that's a job for my mentor to come to me and be like, this worked amazingly, but for next time, let's just refine this, let's tweak that, whatever. And it just felt so flipping good not to have that negative voice in my head, or I didn't have any imposter syndrome, which is quite unusual for me, because although I will stand here forever and say I am a confident person and I really believe in myself, but I am a human just like everybody else, and I do experience negative self-talk. I do have limiting beliefs sometimes. I do have imposter syndrome, you know, all the things. I experience it just like everybody else. I've probably just got a few more tools in my toolkit to be able to work through it. And it just just felt so good not to have any kind of, negativity afterwards, because it's just too easy, isn't it, to have a really great time, be on this high, and then pull yourself apart afterwards.
Yeah, no, celebrating you on that. That's amazing.
Mm.
And I feel like you said, there's something happens, doesn't it? And it just all clicks into place. Like I remember feeling that for myself for the first time, thinking that, oh, why am I not judging myself? Or why am I not talking? And I was like, oh, that means I've broken through something. And I think that's such a powerful moment. And just testament, I think, to the woman that you are now. You know, like there's all these full circles, you know, even the 10-year is a full circle. And I think that yeah, it's almost like in these moments, I like to always ask, like, if you were a client, I'd be like, right, what would your younger self think of you right now?
Oh
And
my
that
God.
just the beautiful moment that you get to give yourself. And I won't make you do it now, but you can do that for yourself, you know, in your own time. Think back to you in that house and all those things, because I think that we're so, like we said, focused on what's happening forward, like where we're going to, but we forget that, like for me, I always say that we're like in an infinity symbol. So like everything is quantum. So we're always lapping. And so you're in the center of that, but the past you and the future are both connected. So it's like how we're taking everything always forward with us. And you know, you're already healing a version of yourself that had to go through all that heavy stuff. So that's just a really wonderful thing. And yeah, when the voices stop, you realize that this is the center, right? Like, you know, and I believe, especially as someone that trains speakers, is that once it's done, I feel like it's done. You know, like I wouldn't even recommend you going back and listening unless you were going to use it for content. You know, like I literally think that if you're proud of it, that's all that matters. Like it's not for you to, it's that Martha Graham quote, isn't it? That as an artist, you make the art. It's the audience job to make their opinion on it. So yeah, I think that's wonderful. I feel like we could talk forever, Savannah, as always. There's probably loads we haven't even spoken about still. But if someone was listening in thinking, okay, I need a bit of Savannah in my life, how do they work with you, find you, and all the stuff?
So the best place to find me is on Instagram. I'm there at I am Savannah Madden. You can find me on Facebook as well, but Instagram is usually where I hang out the most. And my offering is that I have a one-to-one 3-month program, and the link for that is in my bio on Instagram. You can also grab it off of my website, savannahmadden.com. And yeah, my 3-month container is work through once a week remotely for an hour. You have WhatsApp support, and we go through my voice framework, which is values, ownership, identity, capacity, and expression. And it's all about how to weave all of that into your business. I help you with like growth and scaling as well, business growth. So there is obviously a bit of business strategy in there, but ultimately my job is to highlight the bits that clients can't see yet, to hold up the mirror basically and just be like, look at this is awesome, you can do all of this, and you know, to find all those great things that are working, enhance those, and then plug any gaps and give you all the tools and tricks to help you move forward and be more confident and absolutely go and smash it.
Yeah, love that so much. So yeah, I'll put your links obviously in the show notes. They can find you and your bio. And yeah, thank you again for being here. I always like to end the show with a soul to soul message. So either something you would have needed to have heard when you were maybe in your thick of the heaviness, or just something you feel like someone listening needs to hear right now.
Just keep going, because you've got so much to give. There is so much wisdom, and I love this word, incredibleness, you know, inside you, and everyone else needs to experience that. So just keep going.
Absolutely that. Share your incredibleness with the world. In the words of Savannah. Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please do like, follow and share with a woman that you know needs to hear these words today. The more women that get to listen, the more impact and change and transformation I get to make into this world, and the light in you shines on others. So sharing that forward is absolutely the mission of this. This is how we all give and get and receive the permission to fully shine. I also have some really incredible things happening this year. I'm hosting the second She Rises event in April. So if you want to find out more about that, click the link in the description. And I'm now newly launching my first ever group program that is called Unforgettable. And it's taking you from performing visibility to embodied authority. So whether that's hosting your own podcast or being on stage or being the leader of your field, and you're ready to fully embody this version of you that has this dream and ambition, that you know the limiting beliefs, the childhood experiences, the generational trauma that has stopped you and prevented you from fully stepping into who you came here to be. This is the space where we get to write a new story, a new chapter in your life. And I'm so excited to hold that space for you. And as always, if you're looking for one-to-one guidance and support, drop me a message, because there's always spaces available for you. I'm sending you so much love.